Okay, folks. I just realized I don't have my contacts off. I have readers on. Anyhow, just got back from the Recon show in down in the Orlando area, and I did a couple videos. I did a video of the whole show, so you guys can check that out. I couldn't do it every session, but I did throughout Friday break off several points and at several points and kind of showed some different things that were going on there at the time. I also did another video on not the unboxing, but really kind of what I picked up with the show, which was, stuff I really had no intention to pick up, but sometimes things like that happen. And went ahead and made a video of that, so you guys can check those out as well. Just uploaded those momentarily. So I got some things that I'd like to put together while I'm thinking about it, and these are a couple of things of terrain. These are both items for a company called Foreground. This is a 20 millimeter ruined stonewall section. And these are some type of MDF type material. And then also the pigsty and chicken coop by the same company. And yeah, it's got a couple different colors on there, but I think this is going to be something that's going to be I'm going to paint. But anyhow, so I have a feeling that this will be probably a little easier to tackle. So we're going to tackle it first. And I suspect I will probably use epoxy to put it together, but that's just my initial guess. So let's open this up and see what we got inside. Ruined, and it says pre-painted. Well, I think we'll still paint it. Let's see what we got here. Hopefully there's some instructions. I've only done a couple things of MDF before. And there is the distinctive burnt MDF smell items. And then we have it looks like a wagon wheel just fell. Okay, so are there instructions for this? There are. And they're even in color. Yeah, that's pretty nice. Now I think this company's actually out of business, or they got bought out or something like that. Something along those lines. It says, notice before assembling your kit, ensure you've read these instructions. For assembly, you will need PVA glue or another suitable adhesive for joining plywood or other wood composite fiber boards, and a sharp modeling knife is recommended for ease of parts from the sprues. Remember to cut away from your fingers. Sanding can be used to clean the sprue joints, but wear a mask. The 4G difficulty rating for this model kit is 4. This is not a toy. It's not meant for those under 14 years. Interesting. I'm not sure if that's on a scale of 1 to 10, a 4. I mean, it's not like I can't handle this, but the other kit is... Man, I had it here just a second ago. What do I do with it? Man, I gotta keep myself on a really short leash. This is also a skill rating 4. So, well, if one was significantly easier than the other, I would have done that one first, so. And this comes with two 10-centimeter ruined wall sections, one 2.5-centimeter wall section, one 7.5-centimeter ruined wall section, and two 2-centimeter ruined wall sections. So let's hop to it. A2 and A1. So here's A2. I met the requirements, yes. What does that mean? I met the requirements. This is A1 and A2. Oh, an A3 is on the other side. Okay, so it wants me to glue these two pieces together, and then they go both go into there. So they do something like this. How thick is this detail? Because I will not be not painting this. I will not be not painting this. Now what are these little notches it has? Okay, well this goes with this. There's optional rubble that goes between it. Where the heck is the optional rubble? Those two go together. B2 and B1. B2. Oh. Okay, this has... Oh, this is interesting. Oh man, this is more involved than I thought it was. Because there's actually some rubble sections here, you could probably make it whole. But there's some things here you can knock down and put them in between them and make it look like it's some of that's coming off. Because of popping this thing off, you can see there's actually a section here. You could actually make this not destroyed. Interesting, and here it is. Here's another section again that you can make these little pieces come off. Holy fiddly! All right, I don't have this in me right now to tackle this. Because I don't know how much time I'm going to actually be able to do this for. I just know that I got home and nobody was here, so I'm like, let's start messing with some stuff. Okay, so we will do this one next. Let's put this all together. Okay, I didn't even know what the heck that was. What is you met the requirements? Yes, Joe. What the heck does that mean? All right, let's take a look at this pigsty. Pigs not included. Sometimes things that are destroyed are actually a little bit more challenging. Oh. Oh. Well, those came off, like without even wanting them to. So this is this building right here. This is the whole farm complex that I guess that foreground makes. And this is the particular building that we're talking about right here. All right, let's take a look at man, I almost need to do this on a bigger table. I got so many things on here that it's kind of hard to move this stuff to the side. Wow, this is really interesting. It's a real parchment paper looking thing. So we got B1B. B1 and B1A. Okay. So B1 is this section right here. Okay. And then the B1A and the B1B are here. Okay, so these are almost like sections that go that show the wall portion. Wow, I'm thinking, what glue would I glue this in? Because the fit is actually not super tight. guess I could try white glue. Not a big fan of white glue. Epoxy is going to make a mess with epoxy. I can already tell you already. Let's try using the white glue. Let's get some of that down here. This brush will do fine. Derek Drohan, welcome. You get home all right, okay? We all gonna go to bed early based on that altercation last night? I wouldn't say it a scare because it wasn't really scary. It was, but the second time that alarm went off again, I started getting dressed. And if it was gonna go off a third time, I was gonna go home. I don't care if it was like 3:30 in the morning. That was just nonsense. I couldn't get to sleep. I was being tortured. Now this might actually work okay with white glue. You know, and it says it's already pre-painted. I may paint it anyways or weather it some. You know, see how it looks. They definitely went through some effort to make this thing. They didn't just throw this together. Okay, we got B2, B2A, and B2B. Okay. B2. Uh-oh. A little rubble piece fell there and it was unintended. B2. B2A. Wow, which is really, really small. Okay. And B2B. Definitely need to use some kind of a glue that's gap filling because these things have some airspace between them. I like the smell of this burnt MDF, but it's one of those smells that, you know, after a while you're like, okay, enough. You know, like if you're outside at a bonfire, right? A bonfire always smells good, but after you've been out there a few hours, you're like, okay, I like to smell something different in my life. You know, it's not a bad smell, but it's like, give me something else to do. Got that smoldering smell. All right. Those two pieces are done. Yeah, it might actually look okay if it's unpainted. I mean, I don't know about the wall color. It's kind of like a color in Italy, which is fine. I mean, I plan on doing something in Italy eventually. Okay, time for the H now. H3. Well, I don't see any H's here. Strange. C's, D's, F's, B's, H. Okay, I guess I was expecting it to be a different color. H3, H3. Oh, okay, it's the same drawing of the same thing. It's like the lintel. Pair of H3s, okay. Not that piece. There we go. Yeah, the same thing happens in the convention that always happens. The first day, Friday, goes by really, really slow. And Saturday flies by. So you go from, man, this is going to be a long convention to, what the hell happened? It's over. I'm just glad that fire alarm thing didn't happen the first night. There was a ton of kids this morning, like checking in, like one of those high school trips. I bet there's some people who are going to be sitting in a wet room. For those of you guys that didn't go to the convention that we just got back from today, at about 1:30 in the morning, the fire alarm went off, which I've never been in a hotel room when a fire alarm has been off, but I was expecting it to actually be louder. So I was hearing, I wasn't sure what exactly it was, but I hadn't gone to sleep yet. I had retired about 2 hours before, but I was just having trouble falling asleep. And so I was basically awake when it went off. And I remember I was in the room with Joel. Mitch hadn't made it to the room yet. And we heard it. We both got up out of bed. We calmly, because I remember being pretty calm about it, started putting everything I had in the room in my duffel bag, like we're getting ready to bail out of a sinking ship. And went outside and stepped outside. And apparently, we're on the 4th floor of the South Tower. It only has 5 floors, but somewhere on the 5th floor, there was a small fire. I don't know what that means. It means maybe somebody was smoking a joint or something like that. And anyhow, so the fire extinguishers went off on the floor above us. I don't know if it went off in the individual rooms. Hopefully for the hotel it did not. I can only imagine that being a nightmare. But all the carpets and everything were soaked, and like the center section near the elevators, which I didn't get to, were flooded. I remember looking out there, like the ceiling was kind of, it has one of those false ceilings kind of falling down. Like right in front of where Derek's room was. Hopefully you were okay last night, man. But it looks like it happened, that dripping happened right in front of your room. It almost seemed like it was like a false alarm or something like that, but I guess it was a real thing. But just proves can't ever have a convention at a nice hotel. There's always something wrong with some place that we're staying at. I think this is the piece for this one. The one that accidentally came undone on its own. Oh, it looks like it's got a little chip piece on it. Oh, we can fix that. That's exactly the piece that goes in there. I've set off the alarm in my house. Not the fire alarm, but I actually have set off the fire alarm. And it was actually louder than the one in the hotel. Cooking something on the stove that smoked up. Not me. I don't do cooking. That would be that'd be a problem. But didn't seem like it was that loud. But it was weird because you couldn't smell smoke or anything, so it seemed like a false alarm. But I had a lot of mopping to do this morning. Whole lot of mopping going on. Okay. All right, we got all those wall sections done. I'm glad I did this one first. This is a little bit more conventional than the other one. I can kind of visualize what this is supposed to look like a little bit more. Okay, so this is the bottom section, floor 1 We need section A1 that goes with it, which is this one right here. And A2 goes beside it. So here's the other A2 that fell back. These guys go back to back. And they will be glued like this. Okay. Hope I got enough white glue. Guys can probably see how many times I actually use PVA, which is almost like rarely. We'll give it a shot. Okay. B1, which is this one. Attaches here. Supposedly. Find it strange that it's towards the inside. Ah, it's probably the part that's visible. Well, you know, it is nice that I'm using white glue because if so for some reason the instructions are wrong, and I have had instructions that are wrong, not necessarily by this company, so I have no history with these guys. People make mistakes. White glue is going to be really easy to take apart. Super easy to take apart. I just don't like the drying time on it. It's pretty freaking slow. That's my problem with white glue. It has a slow drying time. Not necessarily that it has a not very strong, which it isn't very strong, but the drying time on it is fourth floor ended up getting demolished because of the water damage. I have a picture that I took towards your room from ours, and it looked like the floor near the elevator above it has caved in. What do you mean it was like all the rooms were trashed? I'm glad we got the hell out of there. I'm just glad it wasn't life-threatening, you know? I mean, water damage is a hell of a lot better than a fire, because a fire could catch things it catches things on fire in the air, and then you breathe them, and then it could be toxic, you know? That's why I stepped out there, and I don't smell any smoke, and I'm like, what's happening, you know? False alarm. There was a lot of like teenagers in that place, and I think they were fairly well behaved. They weren't running around or anything, so. Couldn't have been that bad. The Starbucks was still in operation. Section B2. Have we done B2? We have. It's this one right here. Okay? And this one faces okay, it faces towards the inside here. Faces here. Faces like so. Oh, there's a little notch right here. Nice. The alarm went off a second time when we got back in the room, and Mitch didn't even get out of bed. And I was like, "Are you even awake?" Afterwards, he said, "Yeah, I was awake. I was just sitting in bed." It's like I started getting ready. I'm like, if it was gonna go off a third time, I was gonna drive home. I'm not putting up with that. You know, I mean, I can't fall asleep, and it wasn't because of that. I was almost like I had had too much caffeine, and I hadn't had any. I don't know. I was just on a natural high, I guess, after the cool weekend that we had. All right, let's lift this a little bit. So when we put this down, we're gonna have some in here in the middle. Okay. Well, way back in the day when the show was in Tampa, we'd have all kinds of incidents involving prostitutes outside the hotel. Not necessarily that anybody that was staying at the hotel was calling for them, but that was just kind of like their area of hanging out. That's how nice of a place it was. And since you live in Tampa, it was right there at Bush Boulevard and 275. The lot is still undeveloped. They demolished the hotel, which was like a Clarion. Um, yeah, the hotel was actually okay. The facility was actually pretty nice for the convention. It just the rooms were just it was just in a bad part of town. What's going on here? Okay. We frequently have hotel issues. We had so that's what happened to the first hotel that it was at. Then we moved to the one in Orlando and it was pretty cool till it got sold to somebody else. And then we got kicked out while it was being remodeled. Then we had to go somewhere else for part of the year. It was just always hotel drama. I'm not sure about the rest of the floor. Definitely what I saw. Yeah, foreground went out of business during COVID. Too expensive to ready color product. I think somebody has taken on the models of some of their old West ready painted buildings and 20 millimeter fences. This looks okay. I'm probably going to weather it. I would imagine to some degree. We'll see. I don't have to make it a decision right now. I wouldn't paint it until it was completely done. All right, what am I looking at here? Here's the center section. I just put B2 in, okay? B3, which is this one, goes across from here, goes like this, goes like this. Okay. So go across the bottom there. We need to get more of this stuff right here. I get foreground and Sarissa mixed up because they both do MDF stuff. I had never seen any of their stuff before. Hold on a second. Make sure we do this correctly. No, we need to go here. Glad I didn't use epoxy for this. This is a lot more forgiving. Joel was telling me that when he got out of the room this morning, he took the elevator. I said, there's no way in hell I'm taking the elevator. I am not using epoxy. No. Why not? Why do you hope I'm not doing it? I love epoxy, but I'm glad I didn't because it's not very forgiving. I would have epoxy on stuff in places where it doesn't need to be. I could always epoxy together when it was together if I needed it to be stronger. I just don't like the drying time of white glue. I warned you on your video. What video? If it's one of the ones I just did, I haven't looked at the comments. Forgot to tell you the foreground is fiddly and not forgiving. Oh. Well, I never even tried epoxy, so I won't try it. How about that? Actually, I can tell from doing this right now, I wouldn't do it because you know, I don't want it to like come out and have issues. But I don't think I'll end up leaving it like this. I'm sure I'll do some kind of weathering. It might not be extensive or anything, but and then B4 is like this. Okay. Yeah, if you made a comment on the two videos that I just did, yeah, I'm not going to see those until I'm done doing this. So, got some material for you guys to check out if you're interested. Just got back from our con today. Went pretty well, but last night we had the fire alarm at the whole hotel and flooded the 5th floor. I don't know how big of a fire it was, but it must have been a really minor fire because you couldn't even smell anything. Luckily, I was on the 4th floor, not the 5th. Oh, come on, Eileen. Oh man, that'd be a good name for a porno. Oh man. Okay. Okay. That part's done. C1. C1. Actually, I think this stuff's pretty nice. It's just not a great fit, which I guess is better. I swear it wasn't Rick and myself. We didn't start the fire. Yeah, it was always burning since the world was turning. Oh, it's showing me a clothespin. I don't do freaking laundry like that. Okay, pair of H3s. There was a ton of kids. Like, you know, I think I saw a bus that was like so-and-so Christian school or something like. Man, they got a rude awakening coming in that place. I have a feeling that several of the rules are not going to be usable. And like I said, it was weird because it didn't really seem like a fire alarm. It wasn't very loud. I guess this Elmer's is just gap filling enough. That's pretty cool. People in the UK love this stuff. Oh, look, they got a little dark spot there that meets with this. Perfect. I don't think you need to use clothespins. Fitting on some of the stuff's pretty good, actually. Oh, all right. played nothing but Lion Rampant yesterday. I feel like I got a really good grasp of those rules. Received your copy of 3 Days of Gettysburg, first edition yesterday. 2 days shipping. Only slot box for 20 years old, but the contents are pristine. And no funny smells, huh? Because sometimes you get one of those that comes from a smoker's home or something like that. Hey, studio. Welcome back. Studio. People in the UK swear by this stuff. I don't know, the cleanup on it's pretty easy, so. I only use this for like flocking things, but maybe I'll start using it for other stuff. No funny smells, excellent. What would happen if you bought a box game and it already came with the counters clipped? I know you're a counter clipper. I don't think I've ever bought a box game since the counter clipping thing was a thing. We got something that's close to that. Okay. Now we add C2. C2. C2's this. That's Phil Collins. You got it, man. Okay, that fits in that little spot. I always have trouble remembering which one's Phil Collins and which one's Genesis because they're both doing stuff during the same time. Won't buy a game with the counters already punched. That way I know for certain all the contents are there. I saw in the flea market at the convention I just got back from, well, it's not telling me to put C3. I can tell. Oh, there it is. You can barely make it out. It's C3, and you figured that would be on the other side of it. There's a board game that I almost picked up. Then I thought about it. Somebody was selling the redo of the Ironclads game by Excalibur Games with the expansion. Both of them for $30. And then I realized, as much as I like the game, I'm not interested in doing any of the American Civil War stuff. As much as I like the game, I'm never going to play it without Joe. And Joe has the game, so why am I even getting it? You know? So for $30 instead, I ended up getting the stuff that I got at Recon, which I am going to use. So by the rules, the next thing I know, I'm buying chips for that stuff and 1/2400 scale, and then my World War II stuff doesn't get completed. So that's a no-no. That's not how you move forward. All right, I kind of feel silly for saying this, but I'm kind of enjoying using this white glue. I really am. And I'm glad I didn't use epoxy. That would have been a disaster. Okay. What other pieces here? C4. Okay, C4 is on this end. All right, grab C4. And C4 is going to go right here. And I discourage myself from buying any game mats. They have the game mats there from cigar box models. They're like $70 a piece. And I talked myself out of it. I found that somebody was telling me there's another company in the US, believe it or not, that makes game mats. And the name of the company is called Sigil. Sigil. And I checked them out, and there's some insane stuff on there. What did you put together from these people? You put some stuff, or you just heard about it? Yeah, it would have been okay. If I'd used it, I would have just had to paint a little bit over it. It would have been a pain in the ass, you know? Playing a game of battleships, yes. Or bingo. Okay, we're done with this sheet. Now we gotta go to the back side. I'm gonna put this on hold a little bit because I believe my wife just came in, who I haven't seen for 3 days, so let me give her a greeting and I will be right back. You have a bunch of their rail kits, and a few of their buildings, or the buildings were traded years ago. I still have the fences. If you want, I can take a photo at some point. By rail kits, I mean fences. Oh. Well, I had so much basswood that's probably how I would do fences, but fences really aren't really big on my thing of. This just happened to be something that the guy traded with me. When this is what I was looking for, and he threw in this and the other set. So I'm like, well, let's just do this. This is like a freebie. This is like something I wasn't necessarily even interested in. I wasn't necessarily even interested in this, but I'm like, oh, they had something in 20 millimeter, and it's like, we're gonna build some martyrs out of this. We're gonna build some martyr H's. I didn't get the mats. I think I'm just gonna try to use the one I have. So the kit is foreground. Yeah, they're foreground. I get them mixed up because they're the two that I know that are from. But the instructions are actually in full color. So that's pretty neat. Although it's supposed to be painted, it kind of doesn't look like it's painted, but I guess it is. It's just painted very fadedly. So, all right, we're looking for C5 next. C5 is going to be hanging out over here. Let's see, it's this one and this one. Okay, so this part, this part. Built a lot of foreground, but they closed down. Did you use white glue? That's C5. C6 is going to go on this other side. I think the most fiddly thing I ever got was I saw in this hobby store many years ago. It was just before I got married or just when I got married. They had this wooden model of a PVA. Okay, this stuff. Sarissa Precision, such a joy. Okay, so they're easier to put together than these. I don't think these are difficult to put together. It's actually going together really well. The wooden model of this galleon. It was all separate wooden pieces. And the problem is you need to buy a special something or another to hold the whole pieces in place while you bend them. And I had not counted on that. I'm looking at the instructions and going, I am going to fail this miserably. And this was before YouTube. So, you know, there's no helpers. Let's okay. They slot to perfection. So they're the Plastic Soldier Company of the wooden kits. I don't know what this is going to look like or if it has the right look for it. But I'm like, okay, this is like a freebie thing I hadn't really planned on getting. So, what the hell, right? Something different. Like the DaCosta's house kit I got with a Waterloo demo kit that I did a video for it. That all Waterloo type stuff, DaCosta, I don't recognize that. I didn't find that until 2 years ago that Waterloo was on my birthday. I had no idea. I'm not a Napoleonics guy. Why would I know that? It's one of the houses at Waterloo, DaCosta. Okay. C8 is the next piece. Best thing about foregrounds, they're sort of colored. That's a good way to put it. They sort of are. I think they'll be fine. I'm just going to weather it if it needs to be. You know, it's kind of painted in an unobtrusive way. Yes. Used to stock a lot of foreground. Yeah, I've just been out of this stuff for so long. Yeah, are these the guys that used to make the Stalingrad buildings that you put together like in multiple different ways? I think so. C8. Okay, C9 goes on the outside. C9. Oh yeah, it goes all the way on the outside. These things pop out really nicely though. I'll give them that. I don't mind the smell. Although after a while I'm probably going to be tired of it. Okay, enough of the campfire. Okay, oh, that's going to be glued. This would have been a mess with epoxy. Absolutely. Well, I could have made it not a mess, but I would have had to spend a lot of time being really precise with it. The problem is I could see making a mistake, you're hosed with epoxy. I have a feeling epoxy is going to glue this together really well, almost too well. You're never going to get it apart, so if you put it in the wrong place. Very complex, okay. Were these more expensive? I don't know anything about these things, so, like, cool, demo, you know? C10 goes on this side. Oh, okay. We are going to have material on the outside. That's nice. Good Lord, that's a lot of glue. Okay. Let's just go in around here. Correct, okay. Sort of painted. I like that. Sort of painted. You're absolutely right. In your scale, they are pricey in U.S. money. I know, because they're made in the UK. Isn't everything I want? So anyways, I need to kind of do a deep dive on that war sigil. They're made in South Dakota. That's a huge plus. This back and forth, I'm going with the guy the mat I have, that they said they were going to send me another one, that I still hadn't gotten, that they supposedly mailed over a month ago. And I said, hey, can you prove when it went out? And they're like, oh, it looks like it got lost in the mail. We'll send you another one. I think they're just playing for time. They're hoping I just forget about it. And honestly, the only thing that disappoints me is someone I know was talking really highly of them, and that's the whole reason I got them. And you know, it's already been 6 months, something like that, since I ordered it. And ever since I ordered mine, they've gotten quite a few bad reviews. They also chip sheet because it's sheets. Makes sense. You can put it like in standard mail. All right, I'm going to go ahead and undo this one, and I'm going to do this one. And you see these little things here? These little spots that are dark? I bet I can paint it like it's another one of these little blocks. I can get close enough to this color with all the freaking Vallejo colors. You know, if I want to make it a little bit less visible. Okay, that's C10. C11 fell off before we asked it to. It goes right there. They're more expensive because of the coloring process. The Wild West buildings are about 30 pounds each, when I got them a few years ago. That's pretty fast. You wait for the PVA to cure. Meaning stopping this thing over? Yeah, I think it's going really well. I'm pretty impressed. Don't dip them in water, they're gonna fall apart, that's for sure. There he is, Mr. Barnes. Welcome, welcome. Got back earlier from my show ever on a Sunday. I also left about 10:30, maybe 11 o'clock. I usually stay till about 2, catch lunch and stuff with the guys, but I'm like, nah, I'm gonna have a hell of a day tomorrow at work. Let's just go ahead and I also got like no sleep last night due to the crazy fire alarm. Twice. Actually, that really didn't keep me awake. It didn't stress me out at all. It just kind of was ridiculous. Between that and the emergency door that our room was next to, that everybody that went through it slammed it, and that was before the fire alarm. It was like a door that basically did not have was a heavy door, and bam, bam. But I was wound up about after playing 12 hours of lying rampant. I don't know if I said this. I made a vow not to buy any more miniatures until every single one of my Pal of Shame is painted. All right, we're going to hold you to it. If not, we're going to tar and feather you. Let me get some more of these alligator clips. These were ones I've collected over the years. And I've never had a use for them until now. All right, where do we go next? C12 goes on the back. Awesome. You already watched the Recon video? It was fun. I was going to do it anyways. Yeah, I wish I could have gotten more games in, but the problem is I was really busy yesterday. So almost all the videos were from Friday. Because Friday I literally didn't do anything. Well, I got involved. I was going by and I was filming stuff, and I came across that game with the destroyer, the Blue Devil destroyer, and I was just thinking, oh, that's the model I built for that old guy a long time ago. One of my first commission thing I did, and I realized my first and last commission that I realized I don't want to build things for and get paid for them as a hobby. But you're like, hey, you want to play this? And I'm like, all right, sure. It was a fun game. But that's the only game I played on Friday, and I was perfectly happy with that. One more alligator clip. Those videos are fun to do because then I can look back and go, what show was such and such happen? There's a record of it. Okay. Well, that Joker dries. Also set all my GHQ micro armor. I found 183 painted tanks. Armored cars in the math today is 36 blisters. that if I bought now would be over $500. 4:40 a.m. You're gonna turn in. Oh my goodness. Night Owl. All right, man. Thanks for stopping by. D1 and D2. Here's D1. Here's D2. Okay, so these joints and those joints. And these. I think we got everything covered. I'm just thinking, is there something else I gotta glue on that? Nope. Although this isn't as much fun as putting separate leg track together. That's a blast. No, I'm not being sarcastic. I just happen to figure out how to do it, and it's empowering when you figure out how to do it. Oh, this is gonna be a little incorrigible. Okay. D3 goes down the other side. D3. And D4 goes across the front. Okay, and we're done with this sheet. I probably could have taken that Ironclads game and sold it, but I'm not into doing stuff like that, you know? All these Russian tanks that I got, just like the ones I painted before, they're too small. I got 7 tanks, well really 6, because one of them is missing turrets. For $5. I'm like, really? That's how much you want for them? Yeah, okay. Sold. I could probably sell them and make more money, but I'm not interested. I'm not doing this stuff for the money. I'm not going to the post office and doing stuff. I'll paint them up. They paint up great. And the nice thing is the ones I had no radio antennas, and these can have them, so that's cool. Okay, we're going to leave this thing out of the way over here. But these are the stairs. Okay. D6 and D5 together. Oh man, where the hell is the D's? D6? Okay, these are fiddly. D5 is the big one, 6 of them. And D6. Oh, that's a pain in the ass. Seas of Thunder. Haven't heard of it, but I'm not really in the know. Oh, this is very fiddly, what I'm about to do. there. And then these D6s are right here. 1. Okay. And I have to glue these. Vertically. They got a lot of freaking wiggle room in there. That's extremely fiddly. What was the naval battle game involving the Danish Navy? Oh, and the Siegfried 5 one? I think they called it the Battle of Copenhagen. And it was a what if, and it was like Germans and Danes versus like French and Russians or something like that in 1897. That's what I remember from the description in the PEL. But it was a make-believe battle. The Danish battle I played, did I do a video? No, I didn't do a video of that. I took pictures of it using the Ironclads game. I don't remember what the name of that one was, but we had 2 Ironclads as the Danes, and the Austrians had quite a few more ships, but they weren't as well armored. But I suspect you're talking about the Siegfried 5 game that they had about that. Yeah, it was a make-believe battle. It was a what-if. All right. That's a lot of flex that thing has. Oh, does this fit in well? Kinda no. There's my tweezers. Oh, this is super fiddly. Not that I can't do it, but it's just fiddly. Now, I don't see how you're not going to be able to see that hole. That gap. Yeah, it was called the Naval Battle of Copenhagen. Tent thingy outside. We're getting gusts. It's very windy today, which is very unusual. Oh, this thing came off. You punch out the whole thing, I guess, and then clip them. Wouldn't that suck? You punch a game out, clip them, and then start to play the game and you realize you hate the game. Now it's a clipped game somebody may not want. What did you say earlier, that you don't like clipped games? I think there's a lot going on when that came in. No, we got a little bit of rain. We got a little bit of rain in Orlando. I've been in Orlando for 2 days, so. Let's see what you said. Won't buy a game with counters punched already. That way I know, oh, they're all this, yeah, okay. And it might be punched poorly. You know, you bet there's some ones that are out there. You know, punched with like, you know, clipped with fingernail clippers. which I'm sure will work fine if you're careful. But oh, so I was in a game, right? So one of the games I was in, it was late yesterday. It was a Lion Rampant game, and the GM who's providing all the figures, they're 28 millimeter figures. Hey Ben, how you doing, man? He had a unit that was kind of like in this area. It was all infantry, like spearmen. And he's like, yeah, they can move over. The guy was asking, they can move over to this thing? And the guy literally, remember, so envision 28 millimeter figures for standing up. He literally went like this, like a backhoe, and then moved them over here and dropped them. And the GM is like, and I'm like, I'm never running a game at a show. I also encountered a few people I never want to play in a game again. They're like the world's out to get them. You know, there's nothing worse when you're trying to help somebody out and they feel like you're screwing them. It makes you not want to help them out. You know, I ran into several people that were very nice. One of them, an old friend of mine, I hadn't played a game in a long time, and him and I had a blast playing that. And another guy I had never met before. I was actually Facebook friends with him and really enjoyed playing with him. Facebook acquaintance with him. Yeah, I would just lose it if somebody did that to my figures. You know? But I had a really good time playing that game. I have a really good grasp. I ended up like running some of it on the side because the battle was so big that, you know, while the GM was over there, I'm like, all right, do this. You know, I'd played it for freaking 12 hours yesterday, and I had played the game before. It's something I knew. I just, you know, you forget stuff when you don't do anything with it. Let's hope this doesn't snap. It doesn't. Okay, that goes in like that. I think I'm going to have to do this one little step at a time. But you can imagine somebody being difficult to deal with in a game and trash your figures? Not cool. But I can tell you that after going to this show, I definitely made the right decision that I made in October of not playing the game I used to play before. I'm just definitely done with it. They had very few people show up. I think they had 4 or 5 people show up at the most. And it's just holding me back from doing other stuff. So. But I'd use those armies in Lion Rampant. You know, it's not like I'm not going to use my troops again, but it's not a huge priority. Doing this kind of stuff that I'm doing right now is a bigger priority. This is where my heart is. Hey, you know, like I was telling people, I like the idea that what are you going to work on home? If I was still doing 15s, all I got to decide what the next army is and do it for the next 4 months. No, maybe I want to build a tank that I have. Maybe it's a tank I don't have. I want to build it next. You know, you can do it. You can do whatever the hell your heart desires. If you're not building anything for a show or an event or anything like that, it's wonderful. It's incredibly liberating. I'm motivated enough that I want to work on stuff with, you know, hanging out with you guys. And, you know, it doesn't really matter what it is, you know. Doesn't really matter what it is. I'm telling you, man, tweezers are a huge help, and I didn't have any, and I don't think I had any even in my 20s. Hoping that once I eliminate a few hundred, some motivated to start paying some ancients in 15. Well, if that's what you want to do, This is actually not as fiddly as I thought it was going to be. But the tweezer helps. I also have a skill set of a lot more patience, and I also don't have to get this done by a certain time, so there's like literally no pressure. Oh, you want to hear the craziest thing? Oh, I just realized I was wrong. I was going to say nobody was selling Flames of War at the convention, but that's not true. One guy in the back was, but he was the only one, which is really strange because I think that's kind of a popular thing. Lots of 28 millimeter bolt action type stuff. Yeah, bolt action had a room to itself. It did, and that room I believe doubled as the Flames of War room the following day. I just was busy. I was busy yesterday. I couldn't run off and do that. I literally didn't get a chance to have lunch. So, because what happened is I'm out videoing stuff, and I run into somebody I haven't seen in a long time, and the next thing you know, I'm talking with them for 35 minutes. Hey, it's part of being social, you know? So, I actually skipped lunch. We ended up going to a Brazilian steakhouse last night, and it was excellent. It was pricey, but I didn't eat lunch, so it actually evened out rather well. Let's see if we can get through these stairs before I gotta stop. 'Cause I gotta stop, I gotta take the daughter to... She wants to get takeout somewhere, so... We'll see. Maybe if nothing's planned, I'll come back on. But I'm really enjoying doing this. This is, you know, this is happy. This is happy stuff. Yeah, I watched some of the games being played with bolt action. There's no way I could play that game. Some of the tanks, the one guy that had the Hungarian stuff was beautiful. Those Hungarian tanks were really cool. They were well painted, but, you know, they're really absurd ranges to each other. And what I understand is that bolt action tanks are not very, they're kind of genericized a bit much. So that's definitely the wrong tack for me. Assyrian slingers. Still have an Assyrian army to do. I think they look pretty cool. Right, this one goes here. And then the top section is D7, which is already coming off anyways. I think I want to keep the side flat. Yep. Let's mount this even with the back. Rifle range 24 inches, 20 millimeters, doesn't feel right. So the game that I play has a range of 78 inches for rifles. but it's in 20 mil, and you know they just had to cut it off somewhere. 78 inches is what it is. So you can still shoot across a 6-foot table. You really should be able to shoot multiple tables, but you know at some point it's just not very effective in the scale of the game. So there's the staircase. All right, let me check on one thing and just confirm if I need to sign off. Okay, folks, that's going to be a wrap. So, not sure if I'm going to get a chance to be back on tonight. If not, we'll be on during later of the week. So, anyways, check out the 2 videos if you haven't already that I uploaded today, and we'll catch you guys.